Hello and welcome to this week's iteration of the track guide. I'm Fraser and I'll talk about Baku today. So first of all, some quick facts. We have 20 turns. The circuit is almost on the dot 6 kilometers long. We have the C4, C3, C2 tire. The C4 soft tires are actually dying after 5 or 6 laps, so try to make them live as long as possible. Also, weather-wise, you can expect some rain. It's always good to have some practice in the rain, but as Baku is situated between two lakes, it is quite likely that there is going to be rain. Strategy-wise, we can see a soft to hard, maybe a soft to medium if there is enough safety cars. The mediums tend to just also completely give up their will to live at the end of their stint if you're doing a soft medium, or there is actually a option of a two-stop soft medium soft or soft medium medium, but then again that really needs some safety cars to make that work for you. I'm pretty sure you already know the spiel. First for the Hotlap, then of course the explanation and tips, then the setup, and then that's it. So we will hear each other again in like 2 minutes, I guess. Let's start talking about the lap right now. So you want to brake at around the 110 meter mark just before you come close to this 100 meter board. You want to engine brake. Want to go for a mid apex. You want to not clip that curb at all. You can clip that curb without any time loss, but it's really inconsistent. You want to trail brake. As you can see, I have the brake application right until I pass the apex. And when you pass the apex, you want to upshift to fourth. Then be on the power very early. Try to line your car up to this curb right here. If your inner side of this left hand side tire touches this curb, the lap tends to get invalidated. For turn 2, you want to have a watch out for this little escape road right here, this little kink, steward post kink, and you want to brake as you pass that. Don't be afraid to get close to this wall, because you will actually need to go close to that wall so you have a better turn in, a better apex, and a better acceleration, because for turn 2 or any 90-degree corner, essentially, you want to be really as straight as possible, as soon as possible, to get a good exit, especially after turn 2, because there's a DRS straight. So again, engine braking this time down to second. Again, try to miss that curb, because that curb, when you touch it, will also unsettle your car and you may end up in this wall right here. So just try to miss that curb entirely, just like the turn 4 curb. I think the turn 3 curb is also the one we are going to see in a second. So miss that curb as you pass that, upshift to third. Again, don't be afraid to get close to the wall. In Baku, it's really, really important to not be afraid of the wall. If you are afraid of the wall, you're not going to probably go to this white line right here, and you're going to basically only use, let's say, 2/3 of the track because you are very scared of the wall. So just try to make sure to lift that restriction of not going close to the wall. So DRS open right now for turn 3. So let's start talking about turn 3 now. Turn 3, you want to brake at the 100-meter board. You can ride this curb on the right hand side right here. Again, engine braking is super important as well as trail braking. Again, you notice me just going off the brakes as I pass the apex. Obviously, ideally you wouldn't want to ride this curb, but I did in this example and only just briefly so the car didn't get unsettled too much. And then you want to be on the power as early as possible, most likely after you pass this apex. Then again, don't be afraid of the wall. If you are afraid of the wall, you're going to lose a lot of time because then you're not maximizing your exit and your entry basically. Again, just make sure that this curb, you are going to be as close as possible to actually not touching it, but really, really close to it, as that gains you a lot of time. So, turn 4 right now, brake at the 50-meter board. You can brake a bit more in a straight line right here. You want to have a late turn in, so you have a better exit right here. Again, miss the curb entirely, be as close as possible. You again probably see me engine brake quite a lot right here. Then again, trail braking is super important in those 90-degree corners. I can't emphasize on that enough. It just gains you super amount of time, especially with this setup. This setup needs good trail braking, or at least decent trail braking, to be really, really fast. Or I guess every setup needs trail braking, but in this case, I think it's super important. So again, upshifting to third for the better exits to minimize the wheel spin. Again, don't be too afraid to get close to this wall. Now turn 5 and 6, very, very weird corner. This just brake after the 100-meter board, downshift to second, then get as close to the wall as possible. So you don't want to have a too early turn in, otherwise you're going to hit this part of the wall and you're going to get bumped across right here, and you potentially need to cut this part of the track you're about to see this one. And you can ride this curb, get as close as possible. Really, just you need to basically train or practice this turn in, because for me it was actually quite hard to get that turn in right consistently. So it's up to you to basically practice that right there. Again, be as close as possible. Just a tiny squirt of throttle right in between those two corners. Then immediately after you pass that turn 5, you want to jank your steering to the right, and again you want to miss this curb right here. It's super important, otherwise your car is going to unsettle. You're going to be really, really unsettled because you're in a low gear. Your weight transfer because of the turn before is already really, really messed up. So just try to miss that curb entirely. Again, be super precise. Don't touch the curb on the outside, as that really compromises your exit. It just unsettles your car immensely. Also, don't be on the power too early, because if you do that, your car is going to end up in this wall right here. Something that helps is upshifting to third, obviously, past the apex. And yeah, also just a tiny small brake application. You want to just not nail this curb at all, and you want to be as precise as possible. Then coming up to turn 7, you want to brake at around 65 meters. So something you might have noticed is that I keep it in 6th here instead of upshifting to 7th, because you have much less power in the end of the 6th gear than the beginning of 7th. That means you're going to build up a little less speed than you would in 7th gear, but that actually helps you get a later break point for turn 7, which is quite important. So you want to make sure to brake more than you need to, or in a race situation at least. In quali, you always want to be as late as possible, but just to make sure you're not to run into this wall, or you're going to overshoot the corner a bit, then it's going to be really, really awkward trying to recover the car just in front of the wall. It's going to make you super slow, and maybe some crazy guy thinks he needs to overtake you in castle, and that can lead to a safety car. So coming back to turn 7, you want to downshift to second, 4 gears down. So you really want to have an early turn in. As soon as you're coming to this curb, you already want to think about the turn in, then turn in. You can cut this curb quite considerably. If you just nail the curb on the left hand side right here, it's going to unsettle your car, and if you also cut it too much, you're going to see, I don't know if you're able to see it, but when you're going in game, like they are going, the curbs are going up and then down and then up and then down. Okay, so you want to just have your left wheel on this section right here to not unsettle your car in the middle of the curb, and you can cut until the tarmac on the inside right here. If your left tire touches the tarmac, it's going to be an invalidation or a track warning. So on the exit, upshift to third again for a good exit to minimize wheel spin. Also be on the power very early. Don't be afraid of this wall right here. And now we're going up to the castle section. 50 meter board. You already want to. You see me just turn in slightly before even the 50 meter board. That's pretty important. You want to be turning in super early. You want to be as close to this wall as possible, shifting 2 gears. You can see, like, again, I can only talk about this so much. Precision is super important, especially in the castle section. You want to be as close to this wall as possible. That also, like, you can cut this curve really much. This also lets you, because of the early turn, get on the power very early and very hard, because you don't need to worry about this wall right here. Just keep it in for the castle section, after the castle section right here, until turn 12, I believe. So you can carry much speed through there. Just when you're coming up the hill right here, you want to be major braking just before you get over this crest, as when you are doing it too late, you're going to either come out wide and then end somewhere right here, like super wide, or you're going to lock up and you're going to be really slow, like probably losing 5 or 6 tenths, trying to recover the car, getting it back onto the racing line. So again, do your braking very early, try to brake and be as close to this wall as well. The curb can unsettle you if you only ride it with your right hand wheel, so you want to aim for the little tarmac. If you don't feel like that and like feel safe at all, just try to clip this curb right here. Again, keep it in third for overall stability. Your weight transfer is already messed up as is because of this little crest right here and the speed you're carrying through, especially on worn tires. You don't want to downshift to second and then up to third, because upshifting actually upsets your weight, and it's already on the brink of just spinning out right here. So again, just a tiny bit of acceleration right here. Third gear helps because then you don't get any wheel spin. Also, try to cut as much curb of this as possible. You can see you can touch the inside of this curb with the right hand side wheel. That doesn't invalidate you. So then ideally you want to line up your middle of the car on this curb right here, but I didn't do that right there, so that's why also the oversteer was caused, because I had my right rear wheel on the curb, which was quite unlucky as I lost a couple of hundreds, I believe. So then for the next two corners, 13, 14, you just want to keep it as tight as possible. So now we're going to come to the killer curb of turn 15. There is many ways to do it. So I personally try to take a wide entry. You can go on the racing line right here, but then it's more likely to spin your car out if you go over that curb. Down to third, you can also do it in second, but third is much better. Also, you want to brake as you come around the 100 meter board, and then just try to aim with the right hand wheel on this part of the curb, on this point of this triangle curb right here, as sets you up pretty well for the exit, but also just be careful not to run into this wall right here. I carried a bit too much speed. I actually didn't touch the wall. I slightly missed it, but I think if I get that exit down better, like not worrying about this close call right here. I could probably get another 10th out of that. And for the race, it's really risky because if you're going to be on worn tires and you have no new tires, you're probably going to end up in the wall in that situation. So it's really just outweighing the risks and the gains you get from this. Also, just for those people that don't want to do this little jump right here, you can go around it, and again, just like every curb, like turn 2, 3, and 4, you want to be as precise as possible. You want to be as close as possible right here. Then going up for the only real corner for the F1 cars, just after the 100-meter board, brake, go down to the third. You can upshift to fourth if you want to have a bit more stability. You can also have it in third, but then you need to be careful on your throttle application. Line up your car again with this red and white curb to get a good exit, and then it's basically only making minor steering corrections as possible, as that lets you bleed off time if you don't. And yeah, that's basically the Hotlap now. Also open the DRS as soon as possible, obviously, and try to stay as straight as possible on this line right here. And that time puts me at, I think, 46th. Yeah, 46th on the leaderboard. So I think there is a bit more time to gain here. Also, a thing I failed to mention is in this corner, you want to really have a flow through here. If you just mess up a tiny bit, it can really compromise the exit right here. And some people will go for a move to turn 7, because turn 7 is not really that bad for going for moves. But expect, if you mess this exit up, to like maybe get someone sent down the inside of you right there. And yeah, that's basically it then. So now talking about the setup, we have a 3-5 wing configuration. You can probably get down the front wing to a 2 and the rear wing to a 6. So you have a bit more stable rear in the castle section, especially after the castle section. I think that if you put it at 3, the front wing, it's going to be a really good car around the track. Then we have the differential 50 and 54. 50 just make sure that you can actually rotate the car around turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 and stuff. 54, and that's pretty important for the castle section, because otherwise, if you leave it unlocked, it's going to be very hard to keep your rear in check. Then the suspension geometry, right, left, and then a couple of clicks to the right just helps a tiny bit with the rear. Then a 1/8 suspension, 10 ARBs, and the 1/3 ride height. You can also put the ride height to 2/3 to get a bit more straight line speed. Brakes 150, and tires all the way to the left, as that gives you the most amount of grip. Thank you for watching my track guide. I'm Fraser, and I hope I see you on the racetrack.